And now it's time to engage in the topic of the human relationship to the living soil as a symbol of society. And we're going to do this in a conversation between Solveig Arnesen, Jørn Viumdal, and Erik Joner. So Erik is working with microbiology, and he does research on some of the topics around soil health, soil pollution, and ecotoxicology. And Jørn is engaged in the effect that nature has on people and how we can apply this effect in our indoor lives. And Solveig, you already met in the very beginning of this symposium. Please, I leave the stage to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm here on stage with these two gentlemen. Erik Joner, senior researchers at NIBIO, the Norwegian Institute for Bioeconomy, and our good neighbor just up the street. And Jørn Viumdal, author of the book Skogluft, Forest Air, and founder of the company Skogluft. So for the next minutes, we'll have a conversation about our connection to nature and the living soil as a symbol of society. And I have prepared a few questions for these gentlemen. We are going to do this session as a little bit, differently, as a conversation that you all have the chance to be part of in a few minutes. So no PowerPoint presentations at the moment. So we'll try to have a dialogue instead. And we have some things and symbols also here with us that we'll come back to later. So, Jørn, I think it was from you that I heard first the phrase living soil as a symbol of society. Can you tell us a bit more about what that means to you?
Yes, for me, living soil is the basic of all life. It's very, very important to bring back the living soil into our society. I bring some symbols here. This one is a biologic way, and this one is a mechanic way of a society of thinking. We are in this world, and we are going to be in this world. So I think today we are on a turning point on these two words, the mechanic words of thinking of things and to the biologic words of thinking of things. And in that case, we are sitting here and we are sitting inside. Why are you sitting inside? We are made for be outside, working in the nature. Something happens, the turning point is coming. And we are in this turning point. And I think in 3 generations, something's going to happen. And the first thing of this case is we are starting now. And everything is based on living soil. Every life on earth are based on these things. Yes.
Okay, very good. So I have known, I had the pleasure to know both of you in different contexts for quite some years now. And although you come from very different backgrounds, I find from my outside perspective that you, to a large degree, share a common vision also. So, Erik, do you share the vision that Jørn was describing, and how do you see that we can reduce the distance between us as humans and nature in order to kind of achieve that vision?
Yeah, it's a big and complex question, and I agree with Jørn that soil is the basis for our existence, and very few people realize that soil is actually alive and important to us, and we are maybe a member of a very small group of people that consider this as important and as and know about things happening in soil, seeing the fascination for it. And I think this is a very different or a very difficult message to convey to people, because so few people are in real contact with soil. Soil is not very inviting as a matrix. It's very short periods of the year when you actually want to go and stick your fingers into soil, and you have very little reason to do it unless you're a gardener or a farmer, and even those people only use soil when it's convenient and pleasant. So most of the time soil is out of sight and out of mind, and this of course or our lives continuously affect soil, so we cannot sort of let it slip out of our mind just because we're indoors. Life is outdoors, and it's continuing.
Exactly. So at Vitenparken we work a lot with science communication and science engagement and trying to work with inspiration, and I know both of you as very inspiring communicators. Erik, you always say yes to the more or less unorthodox activities we invite you to be part of, and that very few other scientists that I know would say yes to and prioritize. And Jørn, you communicate in everything that you do. Why do you think this is so important?
As a soil scientist, I'm a member of an even narrower community of people that have a very hard time of communicating their messages and their knowledge to the population or to even interested people. And I see any approach to spreading the word on soils and plants, nature, as important. And I see also that if we as scientists stay in our closed societies, we don't reach out very far. And the artists are people that are experts in communicating with audiences, and that are also experts in unconventional thinking and unconventional approaches to daily observations and things that affect us both physically and emotionally. And I think that's why art is such an important tool to use in all types of communication around nature, environment, climate, and food, for example, health, you name it.
So Jørn, why is it so important to you to always communicate?
It always is the best thing. I see. This is an apple. And that will symbolize our society. When you grow that apple, you had to grow very fast, you know, apple tree. It had to be very nice to look at. And when you come into the shop, you had to stay there for 2 months and look just like that. What's inside this one was not in focus. But in the next generation, that will be in focus. Because living soil make this happen as we need this apple. There's a lot of things in these things. When I have read a book about 500 slates for these things, and that's the only thing I know about microorganisms in soil. But how to communicate this area, that's so very important for us to see. How to do that? facts doesn't change these things. You have to move people. You have to communicate that it moves you. And after then, you can put on facts. Then something is going to happen, you know. And that's my vision, to move people into eat food from living soil. Yeah.
And just a quick follow-up on exactly that. How can we become better at moving people, engaging their hearts and senses?
A lot of things, I think. We see something arts could be. I think I took 2 carrots too. It's quite different, this one. You can't see it. I think you can smell it. I can feel it if I take a bite. But the important here is inside this one. And living soil make these things inside perfect for us. Because when you are thinking of medicine and how we eat plants and animals, and our microorganism in my stomach is communicated with the microorganism in the soil and the plants. And if my food communicate and feeds my microorganism in the stomach, I will be a happy man, you know. That's the way it is. So I think we need a lot of things to do here. We have to move people into food that is built or made by living soil. And we had to taste a carrot that's made. If you come here and taste one of these, I think you see the difference. But it's a very, very long way from this one to this one. This is made by that kind of intention. How to make food fast, big, weight a lot, and how long to you. Not what is inside this one. So in the next generation, I think, what is in it for me here? That will be very important for us to do.
So kind of, if I understand you correctly, then kind of creating awareness that soil is in a way becoming part of us through what we eat. Is that the perspective you share also, Erik, or is that too far?
Yes, in just a couple of weeks, it's the United Nations World Day of Soils, which have the slogan, soil is where food begins. And I think that's very pertinent that of course you grow food in soil, and what you get out of the soil as food depends on how you treat the soils. So that's a very crucial message, and it's much easier to convey a message of food to people than a message of soil, because everybody eats, very few people interacts with soil. So going through the food is absolutely a good entrance to this issue.
Exactly. Well, so today, and we have touched upon it, both of you, that today is a day where art and science meet on equal terms, as we like to say. And you have already commented on it, but what role do you think that art can play in this thing that is so important to touch people and inspire them regarding scientific and normally like information-heavy subjects like soil?
Me?
Whoever wants.
I think art is good at provoking people and making them step out of their comfort zone. So, but art also has a little bit the problem that we in soil science have, that you need to attract people's attention, you need to get them into the galleries, or you need to have some arena where that they are actually seeking out, and we're sort of both fighting against the ease of entertainment from so many other powerful interests. So people much rather sit indoors, watch their television, than go outside, sticking their fingers into soil, growing plants, and so on. So, but we all have different approaches, and merging them will achieve something more than working apart. So art is one approach, science is one approach, and there are many other approaches that we need to work together with us in a kind of a synergy.
Great. Jørn, what is your comments or thoughts on?
Art is a lot of things for me. Art is go into the woods, hear the birds singing. It's smelling and listen to the music, see a picture, go into a situation I'm not comfortable at all. I need to do that, like standing here today. It was very new for me to come into that kind of situation. But I need it. I do need it to go into something I don't know what it is. So just take it into me and get experience for this one. But I think we have some friend of mine going to have a collaboration of these things in Norway. We have two places here, is Bodø and Grue. We are going to make some ideas about, but the basic of this is living soil, to make a society here in different ways. So I would like to have these people to say some words according to this program. Arve, you are sitting there. Yes. Do you have a microphone, I think? Yeah.
Yeah,
wait a minute.
You have to wait until you get the microphone.
Yes.
So, but it's a very good transition into including the audience into the conversation.
Okay.
So we'll start with you, Arve, then you can comment, and then we can open the floor for questions.
Yes, my name is Arve. I'm from Grue Innlandet. I have a small farm there, and my interest in this is because the fertilizer is getting very expensive. So we need to take care of the health of the earth to grow crops in Norway. Okay?
Yeah. Good. And we have Cecilie from Bodø.
Hello. My name is Cecilie. I work in Coop, Nordland. So I'm a marketing manager, so I work with communication. And my daughter is here today, as you can see. But I also have sustainability. I've got that from January, so I work with sustainability in Coop. And I'm really curious about what's happening from the soil to the food and to the shop. There's a gap here where someone doesn't understand this whole circle. So my curiosity is I'm here to learn more from the experts, because this is not my topic, but I'm a good communicator. So yeah, so that's why I'm interested in working with this living soil in some kind of way in Bodø, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Cecilia and Arve. And we have just started these things. And we have a schedule for 3 generations. For it takes so long time to do these changes. But we had to start. And we start with living soil.
Thank you. I think that's very good final words before we open the floor to other questions or thoughts or comments on living soil as a symbol of society, or anything else that comes to mind. So if anyone has any questions or comments, we have microphones.
If anybody would like to taste this one and this one, Come on.
That's also an option.
Yeah, that's actually what I had a question about, is the carrots. Because we just passed 8 billion people globally, and it's estimated in 2050 that we're 10 billion. So what I like about vertical farming, where they use the mechanical tools, is that they are super resource efficient. If you are, it sounds like you're proposing that we should only grow things in soil. I know that it's more nutrient benefit, but if we are 10 billion people, is it enough soil for that? And what do you think about that in regards to how many people we are and resource efficiency?
Good question. I don't know who wants to answer that.
I think we have enough soil to grow food for 10 billion people. The question is what type of food and what kind of diet people should have. In Norway, we have 10 million or 1 million hectares of arable soil. 300,000 hectares are cropland, where we grow grain crops and vegetables, and the other 70% is for grassland. And in some areas, like Norway, there is no other choice than to grow grass on large areas of soil, and you have to keep ruminants there to exploit that. So we are not necessarily going to an entirely vegetarian diet globally, but we do consume too much meat for a sustainable diet on a global scale, and we need to reduce our meat consumption. And worldwide, also huge amounts of arable land are used for grain production, for animal feed, and this is not efficient to feed the world population. So if we can transition towards more vegetarian diet for people and less industrial meat production, we can sustain 10 billion people. But there are, of course, hurdles there regarding soil quality, water management, erosion. There are a lot of other problems that need to be managed during a solution like that. So we can survive, but we still need to do the job.
Thank you for summing that up very shortly, because I think that question is an event in itself, or at least one event, maybe more. Thank you so much for a very good question also. Any more question or thoughts? One behind there.
Thank you. Very nice, interesting. Just a comment to the last question. I think that personally think that there is enough soil, enough resources to feed 10 billion people, even more. The problem that I see is not in terms of resources, but it's political. There is a choices that we don't feed 10 billion people or 8 billion people. It's the division of resources or some imbalance. In my opinion, it's not that are not enough.
Okay, not sure if I heard a question, but maybe you have any comment to that?
You can maybe say something about vertical agriculture, because of course this is a possible solution. It's just not the bulk food production that is going to happen that way, but it's going to create awareness. It's going to create short-traveled food production, and there are solutions to some of the problems using new ways to cultivate food. Jørn, you can say more about that.
Remember, 100 years ago, Birkeland and Eide found up Yara. What you put in nitrogen from the air, put it in the soil. They didn't know about the microorganism in the soil. It was far away. They just see how to grow fast in the first place. And we know today how that go into here. And we know we have a lot of experience from different kind of horticulture to see, okay, it takes 3 years when you stop this one to get the same level of production in the other way. So it's possible. And I know it's a lot of different people. And we are going to use that in Bodø and i Grue to get some experience for these things.
Thank you. Lena, how are we with time? Are we moving towards lunch break? Or
Now
do we
we're
have time?
really close to lunch.
Yeah. Okay, so then we'll finish there, I think.
Thank you so much.